Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Frank Menard, and this week we come to the final message in our series on the six ghosts of fear. The fear that, in many ways, stands behind all other fears. And it's called the fear of death. Over the past 6 weeks, we've been exposing the hidden fears that keep so many people from living with peace, purpose, confidence, and achievement. These are the fears Napoleon Hill called the six ghosts of fear. The unseen enemies that rob people of initiative, weaken their faith, and quietly keep them drifting through life rather than living with intention. We've walked through the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and now we close with the fear of death. And I think it's fitting that we end here, because the fear of death forces us to confront some of the deepest questions a man can ask. Am I really living? Am I becoming who I was created to become? Am I using my time well? Am I living with purpose, or am I drifting? Today, I want to talk about why this fear is so powerful, how it quietly influences the way we live, and how we can respond to it in a way that brings more courage, peace, urgency, and purpose to the life we still have. Understanding the fear of death. When we hear the phrase fear of death, most people immediately think of the fear of dying. But I believe this fear often runs much deeper than that. It can be the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing control, the fear of suffering, the fear of leaving things unfinished, the fear of regret, the fear that time is running out and we have not become the person we were meant to become. And here's what makes this fear so dangerous. Sometimes the fear of death doesn't just make a man afraid to die. It makes him afraid to truly live. It causes him to hesitate, to postpone what matters, to avoid difficult conversations, to put off the dream, to delay the decision, to stay comfortable rather than move toward a calling, service, growth, and purpose. And if we're not careful, we spend so much time fearing the end of life that we fail to fully engage in the life we have been given. How the fear of death shows up. The fear of death is not always obvious. It often hides beneath the surface and reveals itself in subtle ways. Here are some of the ways it shows up. A constant sense of worry about what might happen. Every ache becomes a threat. Every setback feels catastrophic. Every headline fuels anxiety. The mind stays trapped in what if. Secondly, avoiding the subject altogether. Many people never want to talk about death, aging, legacy, or the reality that life is temporary. They avoid the subject because it feels heavy, uncomfortable, or frightening. Number three, procrastinating the things that matter most. This may be one of the clearest signs. A man says he wants to get healthy, repair the relationship, start the business, write the book, deepen his faith, live with purpose. But he keeps waiting. He tells himself there will be more time later. The problem is, later is never guaranteed. Number four, playing small because life feels uncertain. Fear causes a man to shrink. He stops taking meaningful risks. He stops reaching for what he knows he's capable of. He stops growing because he becomes overly focused on protecting himself. Fifth, living with quiet regret. The fear of death often whispers this question in the background. What if I reach the end and I realize I never truly lived? That is a painful question. And if we're honest, that question isn't really about death. It's actually about life. The real cost of this fear, the fear of death can steal more than peace of mind. It can steal urgency, gratitude, joy, faith, courage, and most of all, it can steal purposeful action. When a man lives under the shadow of fear, he often begins to withdraw from the very things that give life meaning. Meaningful relationships, service to others, contribution, discipline, growth, calling, a legacy. He begins to live cautiously instead of courageously, and trying to avoid the discomfort of thinking about death. He often avoids the responsibility of truly living. That is a very high price. The great opportunity hidden in this fear. Now, here is the part I want to emphasize. The answer to the fear of death is not denial. It is not pretending life is endless. It is not trying to suppress the thought of mortality. The answer is to let the awareness of death wake us up to the value of life. Because when a man understands that life is temporary, one of two things happens. He can become fearful, or he can become focused. He can become anxious, or he can become intentional. He can drift, or he can decide to live with urgency and purpose. This is where the fear of death can actually become a teacher. It reminds us that time matters, that our choices matter, that relationships matter, that our health matters, that our words matter, and that our purpose matters. And once a man truly understands that, he stops treating his life casually. There are 5 ways to overcome the fear of death. First, accept that life is temporary and let that sharpen your focus. This truth is not meant to depress us. It is meant to wake us up. If life is temporary, then the question becomes, what will I do with the time I have? What do I need to become? What needs to change now? The awareness that time is limited can bring tremendous clarity. Number 2, stop drifting and get a clear picture on your purpose. A man who, with no clear purpose, is far more vulnerable to fear. But a man knows why he is here, when he knows what he stands for, what he wants to build, who he wants to serve, and what kind of life he wants to live. Fear begins to lose some of its grip. Purpose gives structure to life. It gives meaning to pain. Purpose gives direction to effort and gives urgency to action. Without purpose, fear grows. With purpose, a man begins to move. Thirdly, focus on legacy instead of limitation. Instead of asking, how long do I have? Ask, how well will I live? Will I love my family well? Will I keep my word? Will I use my gifts? Will I serve others? Will I become a man of discipline, integrity, and contribution? Will I leave something behind that matters? A man who lives for legacy doesn't have time to remain trapped in fear. He's too busy building a life of significance. Number 4, practice gratitude for the life you have right now. Fear pulls your attention toward what you may lose. Gratitude pulls your attention back to what you still have. Your breath, your family, your faith, your mind, your opportunities, your ability to grow, your ability to forgive, your ability to begin again. Gratitude reminds us that life is not just something to fear losing. It is something to appreciate while we have it. Number 5, let the reality of death push you toward courageous action. If you know time is not unlimited, then stop postponing what matters. Make the call, have the conversation, take care of your health, repair the relationship, pursue the dream, serve the people in front of you, write the plan, do the thing you know you need to do. The fear of death loses power when it becomes fuel for a life of action, purpose, and intentional living. Let's have a brief summary of all 6 fears. As we close this series, I want to briefly revisit each of the 6 ghosts because each one reveals something important. The fear of poverty. This fear keeps people trapped in scarcity, indecision, hesitation, and self-doubt. It causes a man to think from lack instead of possibility, and often keeps him from taking bold action. The fear of criticism. This fear makes people live for approval. It causes them to silence their voice, hide their gifts, and avoid the discomfort of being judged. The fear of ill health. This fear magnifies anxiety, drains peace of mind, and can lead a man to become mentally and emotionally consumed by what might happen. The fear of loss of love. This fear creates insecurity, jealousy, emotional instability, and a deep need for validation or control. The fear of old age. This fear convinces people that their usefulness is fading, their opportunity has passed, and their best years are behind them. Lastly, the fear of death. This fear can keep a man from fully living. It causes him to postpone what matters, avoid purpose, and live timidly rather than intentionally. And here's the truth that ties all 6 together. Fear is not just something we feel. Fear is something that, if left unchecked, can shape our decisions, our habits, our relationships, our confidence, and ultimately the direction of our lives. But it doesn't have to. These fears can be challenged. They can be exposed. They can be weakened. And they can be replaced with faith, clarity, discipline, courage, and purposeful action. That has really been the heart of this entire series. Not simply to identify fear, but to stop letting fear lead. As we bring this series to a close, I want to challenge you with 3 questions. Question number 1, which of the 6 fears has had the strongest grip on your life? Not in theory, not intellectually, but honestly. Which one has most often influenced your decisions, your habits, your confidence, or your willingness to move forward? Question number 2, what has that fear cost you? Has it cost you peace, progress, relationships, confidence, health, opportunity, purpose? And finally, question number 3. What is one courageous action you will take this week to move forward in spite of that fear? Not 10 things, one thing, one decision, one conversation, one commitment, one act of discipline, one bold step. Because that is how fear begins to lose its grip, not all at once, but one courageous act at a time. If this series has spoken to you, if you've seen yourself in one or more of these 6 fears, then don't let this just be another message you listen to and move on. Let it be a turning point, because awareness is important. But awareness without action changes nothing. If you're a man who feels stuck, uncertain, disconnected from your purpose, or simply tired of drifting through life with clarity or without clarity, discipline, and direction, I want to invite you to take the next step. I offer coaching opportunities for men who are ready to grow, get honest, and begin moving forward with greater purpose and confidence. If that sounds like you, I'd love to speak with you. Schedule a complimentary discovery call with me using the link in the description below. Let's have a real conversation about where you are, where you want to go, and what it will take to get you there. And if you'd like to continue growing with us, I also invite you to join the 17 Club Men's Mastermind every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, a room dedicated to growth, accountability, leadership, and personal achievement. If this message encouraged you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs it. And if one of these 6 fears hits home for you, drop a comment below with the word forward. Thank you for being with me through this entire series. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you next week, where I bring you positive videos each and every week to help you live your best life. We'll talk soon. Take care.